I never expected my daughter to show up at my doorstep married. Not on a Tuesday night, not after a double shift that left my feet screaming, and definitely not to a man I'd only met twice. My name is Maggie, and until that moment, I thought I knew everything about my daughter Lily. 24 years of being her only parent had given me that confidence. But there she stood on my porch, her hand intertwined with Jake's, both of them wearing matching nervous smiles and gold bands that caught the porch light. "Surprise, Mom." Lily's voice cracked with forced cheerfulness. "We did it." I gripped my purse strapped tighter, the vinyl creaking under my fingers. The smell of grease from the diner still clung to my uniform, and suddenly I felt every one of my 52 years weighing me down. "Did what exactly?" I managed to ask, though I already knew the answer. Jake stepped forward, all charm and perfect teeth. "We got married, Mrs. O'Hara. This morning, actually." He wrapped his arm around Lily's waist. "We wanted it to be spontaneous, romantic." "Romantic," I echoed, the word tasting bitter in my mouth. Through the fog of exhaustion, memories of another impulsive marriage, my own, flashed through my mind. "Come inside, both of you." My small living room felt even smaller with 3 people in it. Jake settled onto my couch like he belonged there, while Lily perched on the armrest beside him, her legs bouncing with nervous energy. "Mom, I know what you're thinking," Lily started. "Do you?" I set my purse down carefully, buying time to steady my voice. "Because I'm thinking about how you've known Jake for 4 months. 5, Jake corrected, as if that extra month made all the difference. 5 months, I said. "And neither of you has a steady job, or a place to live, or—" "Actually," Lily interrupted, her eyes lighting up with that familiar determination I'd seen since she was little. "We were hoping we could stay here. Just until we get on our feet." The ceiling fan whirred above us, pushing around stale air. I noticed Jake's eyes darting around the room, taking in the worn furniture, the faded wallpaper I'd been meaning to replace for years. Something in his gaze made my skin prickle. "Of course you can stay," I heard myself say, because what choice did I have? "The spare room needs clearing out, but—" "Thank you, Mrs. O'Hara," Jake cut in, standing up smoothly. "We really appreciate this. I promise we won't be a burden." There was something practiced about his gratitude, like a sales pitch he'd given before. But Lily was beaming at him like he'd just promised her the moon, and I swallowed my unease. "I need to shower," I said, retreating toward the hallway. "We can talk more over dinner." "Oh, we already ate," Lily called after me. "But Jake can bring our bags in while you clean up." In the bathroom, I turned the water as hot as I could stand it. Through the thin walls, I heard them whispering, followed by the front door opening and closing. My reflection in the steamy mirror looked haunted. The last time I'd seen that look on my face was 25 years ago, when I'd made my own impulsive decision that changed everything. But this was different, I told myself. Lily was smarter than I had been. Jake seemed nice enough. So why couldn't I shake this feeling that I'd just invited a fox into my henhouse? As I stepped into the shower, I heard them moving around in the spare room, their muffled laughter floating through the walls. My daughter was married. To a stranger. And now they were both living under my roof. I closed my eyes and let the water drum against my face, wondering how long it would take before I discovered exactly what kind of man my new son-in-law really was. It's amazing how quickly a house can change. After just 1 week of Lily and Jake living with me, my quiet sanctuary felt like a pressure cooker about to blow. I was washing dishes when I heard them arguing in the spare room again. Their voices carried through the thin walls, muffled but tense. These spats had become more frequent, always about money, always ending with Lily in tears and Jake storming out. The front door slammed right on cue. I dried my hands and waited, counting down in my head. 3, 2, 1. "Mom." Lily appeared in the kitchen doorway, eyes red-rimmed. "Do you have any aspirin?" "Top cabinet, left side." I watched her reach for the bottle, noticing how her wedding ring caught the afternoon light. "Want to talk about it?" "It's nothing." She swallowed 2 pills dry. "Jake's just stressed about job hunting." I bit back the urge to point out that Jake spent more time networking at bars than actually looking for work. Instead, I asked, "How about we grab lunch?" "My treat." "Can't. Jake's taking the car to meet some business contact." She slumped against the counter. "He thinks this guy might have an opportunity for him." "Another opportunity." Last week it was cryptocurrency. The week before that, some multi-level marketing scheme involving essential oils. The mail slot clattered, and I welcomed the excuse to step away. Bills, junk mail, and a thick envelope addressed to Jake Turner. It had fallen open slightly, revealing what looked like bank statements. My stomach twisted as I caught a glimpse of red numbers. "Lily, honey?" I called out, keeping my voice steady. "Could you come here?" But when I turned around, it wasn't Lily standing there. It was Jake. He must have come back through the side door. "I'll take those." He snatched the mail from my hands, his charm nowhere in sight. "Wouldn't want you troubling yourself with our personal matters." "This is my house," I said, surprising myself with how firm my voice sounded. "If there are financial issues." "There aren't." His smile returned, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Everything's under control. I just need a little time to get things sorted." "Jake." Lily appeared behind him. "I thought you left." "Forgot my phone." He kissed her cheek, tucking the mail into his back pocket. "Don't wait up, babe. This meeting might run late." After he left, Lily helped me prepare dinner, chattering about Jake's potential business ventures like a kid talking about Santa Claus. I nodded along, but my mind kept returning to those red numbers. That evening, my friend Carla called. "How's married life treating you?" she asked, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "I think Jake's in trouble, Carla." I lowered my voice, though I was alone in my bedroom. "Deep trouble." "What kind of trouble?" "I don't know yet. But something's not right." I described the mysterious meetings, the arguments, the glimpse of those bank statements. "Want me to run a background check?" As a real estate agent, Carla had connections. "Just to be safe?" I hesitated. It felt like a betrayal, but the memory of Jake's cold eyes when he grabbed that mail haunted me. "Give me his full name and date of birth if you can get it," she said. "I'll be discreet." After hanging up, I heard the front door open. Jake's voice drifted up the stairs, followed by Lily's excited squeal. I crept to the landing and listened. "It's perfect, babe," he was saying. "Once we get the loan, we can start fresh. No more living under mommy's roof." "But how?" Lily asked. "We don't have any collateral." "Don't worry about that." Jake's voice dropped lower, but I caught his next words clearly. "Your mom's house is worth way more than we need." I gripped the banister, my knuckles turning white. In that moment, I realized this wasn't just about protecting my daughter anymore. I was fighting for everything I'd spent my life building. And Jake Turner had just declared war. Carla's text came at 3 in the morning. "Check your email." Now. I sat up in bed, fumbling for my reading glasses. The bright screen made my eyes water as I opened the attachment. What I saw made my stomach drop. Jake Turner wasn't even his real name. I scrolled through page after page of court records, bankruptcy filings, and restraining orders. James Thomas Kelly had quite the history. 3 ex-wives, all of whom he'd financially ruined. The pattern was always the same: marriage, joint accounts, forged documents, emptied savings. Then he'd vanish, only to resurface in another state with a new name and a new target. My hands were shaking as I got dressed. The pre-dawn air felt electric as I paced my kitchen, waiting for Carla to arrive. When headlights swept across my window, I nearly jumped out of my skin. "You look like hell," Carla said, stepping inside. She carried a thick manila folder. "There's more. Worse than 3 previous wives? He's got warrants in 2 states." She spread the documents across my kitchen table. "And look at this, he's already filed paperwork to add his name to your deed." "That's impossible." But there it was in black and white, a half-completed application with my forged signature. I never signed anything. "Keep looking." Buried in the stack was a loan application. My house was listed as collateral for $250,000. The signature looked exactly like mine. "He must have practiced," I whispered, touching the forgery. "All those times he was job hunting, he was practicing my signature." A floorboard creaked upstairs. We froze, staring at each other as footsteps approached the stairs. "Mom," Lily called out. "Why are you up so early?" Carla and I scrambled to gather the papers. I shoved them into the folder just as Lily appeared in the doorway, wrapped in her bathrobe. "Carla," Lily blinked in confusion. "What's going on?" "Just some real estate stuff," Carla lied smoothly. "Your mom's thinking about refinancing." At 3 in the morning? Before I could answer, the side door opened. James, whatever his name was, stepped in from the garage. He wore a suit I'd never seen before, looking fresh despite the early hour. "Ladies," he said, his smile never wavering. "Having a party without me?" My skin crawled at how easily he could lie, how natural that charm seemed even now. I clutched the folder tighter. "Just catching up," I said, matching his casual tone. "You're out early. Another meeting." He kissed Lily's cheek. "Actually, I need to talk to you about something, Maggie. Got a minute?" "I should go," Carla announced, but her eyes met mine with clear warning. "Don't let him know what you know." After Carla left, Lily drifted back upstairs to shower. Jake sat across from me at the kitchen table, exactly where those damning documents had been spread moments ago. "I've been thinking," he began, "about how to thank you for your hospitality." "Oh, I want to help with the mortgage. In fact," he reached into his jacket, "I've got some papers that could really ease your financial burden." He pulled out a document identical to the one I'd just seen. My stomach lurched. "Just need your signature," he said, sliding it across the table. "Then we can really be family." I stared at the paper, at his manicured hands, at the wedding ring that probably wasn't his first. Or second. Or third. "I'll need to think about it," I heard myself say. Something dark flickered behind his eyes, just for a moment. "Of course. Take your time." He stood, straightening his tie. "But not too long. Opportunities like this don't last forever." The threat in his voice was subtle but clear. As he headed upstairs to join Lily, I pulled out my phone and typed a quick text to Carla. "He's making his move. What do we do?" Her response came seconds later. "We fight back. But first, we need to tell Lily the truth." I closed my eyes, remembering the adoring way my daughter looked at her husband. This would destroy her. But if I didn't act soon, he would destroy us all. The folder of evidence felt like it was burning a hole in my purse as I walked to my neighbor Tom's house. I needed someone outside this mess to tell me if I was crazy, if I was overreacting. Most of all, I needed someone who wouldn't judge me for what I was about to do. Tom was watering his roses when I approached. He took one look at my face and turned off the hose. "Coffee?" he asked, already heading toward his door. Inside his kitchen, everything was neat and organized, the opposite of the chaos my life had become. Tom set 2 mugs on the counter and waited while I spread out James's documentation across his table. "Jesus," he whispered, examining the forged signatures. "And Lily has no idea? She's in love." The words tasted bitter. "Or thinks she is. Have you gone to the police?" I shook my head. "The moment I do that, I lose her. You don't know Lily. She'll see it as a betrayal. She'll run away with him." Tom studied the restraining orders from Jake's previous wives. "Maybe that's better than letting him steal everything you've worked for." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A text from Carla, 911. "Jake at bank right now. Trying to process loan." My hands started shaking so badly I nearly dropped the phone. Tom read the message over my shoulder. "Go," he said. "I'll clean this up and bring the documents to your house." I broke every speed limit getting to the bank. Through the glass doors, I could see Jake at a desk with a loan officer, wearing that same perfect suit, that same perfect smile. My entrance must have looked wild because several heads turned. "This man is committing fraud," I announced, loud enough for everyone to hear. Jake's smile flickered but didn't fade. "Maggie," he said smoothly, "there seems to be a misunderstanding. I'm just helping with your refinancing, remember? We discussed this." The loan officer looked between us, confused. "Mrs. O'Hara? You did sign these documents, correct? Those signatures are forged." My voice shook. "And this man isn't Jake Turner. His real name is James Kelly, and he's wanted in 2 states. The room went silent. Jake's facade cracked for just a moment, showing something dark and dangerous underneath. Then my phone rang, Lily's ringtone. "Mom." She was crying. "Why is Tom here with a bunch of papers about Jake? What are you doing?" Jake stood up, straightening his tie. "I should go check on my wife," he said to the loan officer. "She sounds upset." "Don't you dare." I stepped between him and the door. "Don't you go near her." "Or what?" He leaned in close, whispering so only I could hear. "You'll lose her anyway. At least my way. She gets to keep her illusions about love." The loan officer was on the phone, presumably with security. Jake used the distraction to slip past me, but I grabbed his arm. "You want to play it this way?" he hissed. "Fine. But remember, I'm the one she trusts. I'm the one she'll believe. And by the time she realizes the truth, it'll be too late for both of you." He yanked free and walked out, leaving me standing there with my evidence and my fury. My phone kept ringing Lily, then Carla, then Lily again. The loan officer approached cautiously. "Mrs. O'Hara? We'll need to file a report." But I was already moving. Because Jake was right about one thing, Lily would believe him. Unless I dialed a number I'd been staring at for days. Angela Kelly, Jake's first wife. "Hello." A tired voice answered. "My name is Maggie O'Hara," I said, walking to my car. "And I think we need to talk about James Kelly." There was a long pause. Then, "Is he using the name Jake Turner?" "Yes." "Get your daughter and get out of there," she said. "No. Before he does what he did to me." I started the engine, my mind racing. "I can't leave. This is my house, my life." "Then you better be ready for war," Angela replied. "Because that's exactly what you're in for." As I drove home, I realized she was right. This wasn't just about protecting my daughter anymore. This was about stopping a predator before he could hurt anyone else. And I was done playing nice. Angela Kelly's words haunted me as I pulled into my driveway. The house was dark except for the kitchen light, where I could see Jake and Lily's silhouettes through the window. They were arguing again. I sat in my car watching them. Jake's gestures were controlled, reasonable, while Lily's grew more frantic. Classic manipulation. I'd seen it before, lived it before, but never from this side of the glass. My phone lit up with a text from Angela. "Meeting arranged with Sarah and Michelle tomorrow. Jake's wives number 2 and number 3. Bringing proof." I typed back, "How did you survive it?" "I didn't. Not really. Still paying off the debts he left me with." The kitchen door slammed. Lily stormed out, mascara streaking her cheeks. She spotted my car and froze, then turned and ran toward the backyard. Jake appeared in the doorway, watching her go. When he noticed me, he smiled and waved, like we were neighbors sharing a pleasant evening. I got out of my car, clutching my purse with its damning evidence. "Where's she going? Just needs to cool off." He leaned against the doorframe. "You know how emotional she gets. Like her mother." The casual cruelty in his voice made my fingers itch. "What did you say to her?" "Actually, we were discussing you." His smile turned sharp. "About how your paranoia is tearing this family apart. How you can't let her grow up be happy." "Happy?" I laughed, the sound harsh in the quiet night. "Like your other wives were happy?" His expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in his eyes. "Careful, Magje." Some might call that slander. Some might call forging signatures and stealing homes fraud. "Prove it." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "But ask yourself what happens to Lily when you do. When she realizes her mother destroyed her marriage. When everyone sees how you drove away the only man who ever loved her. You don't love her." "No," he agreed easily. "But she believes I do. And that's what matters, isn't it?" A noise made us both turn. Lily stood at the corner of the house, her face pale in the porch light. How much had she heard? "Mom." Her voice cracked. "What's going on?" Jake moved first, reaching for her. "Your mother's upset, baby. She's been imagining things. Don't touch her." The words came out like a growl. "Mom, stop it." Lily pulled away from both of us. "This is exactly what I was telling Jake. You're trying to control everything, just like always." "Lily, please." "No, I'm not a child anymore. I love Jake and he loves me, and you need to accept that or..." She swallowed hard. "Or maybe we shouldn't be here at all." Jake's arms slid around her shoulders, comforting and possessive. "Maybe that's best, sweetheart. We could leave tonight, start fresh somewhere else." My blood ran cold. This was his play. Isolate her, take her away, then bleed her dry like all the others. I couldn't let that happen. But if I showed my evidence now, she'd run straight into his trap. "No one's leaving tonight," I said, forcing my voice steady. "It's late. We're all tired. Let's talk in the morning." Jake's eyes narrowed, suspicious of my sudden calm. Good. Let him wonder what I was planning. "Fine," Lily muttered, pulling away from Jake. But this conversation isn't over. I watched them go inside, my daughter leaning on the shoulder of a predator. My phone buzzed again, another text from Angela. Got the police reports ready. Meeting set for 10 a.m. Tomorrow then. Tomorrow I'd have 3 of Jake's ex-wives, all their evidence, and one chance to save my daughter without losing her forever. But tonight, I looked up at my bedroom window, where a shadow moved against the light. Tonight, I had to share my roof with a man who'd destroyed 3 families before ours. A man who was probably already planning his escape route. Game on, James Kelly, I whispered to the night air. Let's see who breaks first. The coffee shop felt too bright, too normal for what was about to happen. Angela Kelly sat across from me, her hands wrapped around an untouched latte. Sarah and Michelle flanked her, 3 women united by the same betrayal. 3 versions of my daughter's future if I didn't stop this. He's getting sloppy, Sarah said, spreading photos across the table. Used to wait at least a year before trying for the house. With you, it's been what? 2 months. He's desperate, Michelle added. Lost everything in the last scam. A bell chimed. Lily walked in, her face hardening when she saw me. Jake wasn't with her, small mercies. What is this? She stopped at our table, arms crossed. Another intervention? Sit down, I said quietly. Please. These women, Lily started, are Jake's wives, Angela cut in. Or rather, James Kelly's wives. Lily's face went pale, but she lifted her chin. You're lying. Marriage certificate, Sarah laid it out. Divorce papers. Police reports. Bank statements, Michelle added. Forged documents. Sound familiar? Lily's hands trembled as she picked up a photo. Jake with Angela, both younger, smiling at their wedding. The same smile he'd given her. This is... She swallowed hard. This can't be. The coffee shop door chimed again. Jake stood there, taking in the scene with calculated precision. His eyes locked with mine, and for a moment, I saw the mask slip completely. Quite the reunion, he said, walking over. Angela. Sarah. Michelle. You all look, well, exactly how I left you. Jake. Lily's voice cracked. What are they talking about? He sighed, pulling up a chair. It's complicated, baby. These women, they're from a dark time in my life. I was going to tell you. Like hell you were, Angela snapped. You were going to drain her accounts and disappear, just like you did to us. Is that true? Lily turned to him. The loan applications Mom found. The forged signatures. Jake's face softened with practiced concern. Your mother's been poisoning you against me from day one. Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I have a past. But what we have is different. Different. Michelle laughed bitterly. That's what he told all of us. Lily, I reached for her hand. Look at the evidence. Look at what he's done. But Jake was faster. He grabbed Lily's arm, pulling her close. We can start fresh. Right now. Leave all this behind. I love you. Isn't that what matters? Don't touch her. I stood up, but Jake's next words froze me. Tell them about the baby, Lily. The world stopped. Lily's hand drifted to her stomach, tears streaming down her face. I'm 6 weeks, she whispered. Jake's triumphant smile told me everything. He'd won. No matter what evidence we had, no matter what truths we revealed, he'd ensured his connection to our family was permanent. Congratulations, he said to me, his voice dripping with mock sincerity. You're going to be a grandmother. Lily pulled away from all of us, backing toward the door. I can't. She ran. Jake moved to follow, but Angela blocked his path. Let her process, he said smoothly. Maggie, you've done enough damage for one day, don't you think? I watched my daughter disappear into the parking lot, my chest tight with panic. Jake gathered his coat, every movement deliberate. By the way, he paused at my shoulder. I filed those loan papers this morning. Turns out your signature's already on them. Funny how that works. He walked out, leaving me with 3 broken women and a pile of useless evidence. He always has a backup plan, Sarah said softly. Always finds a way to make you doubt yourself. My phone buzzed, a text from Lily. Don't follow me. I need time. I sank back into my chair, the weight of failure crushing me. I'd tried to protect my daughter, but instead, I'd pushed her further into Jake's arms. Now he had everything, my daughter, my future grandchild, and soon my home. What do I do? I asked the women who'd lived this nightmare before me. Angela reached across the table, gripping my hand. We fight. Harder than before. Because now it's not just about Lily anymore. 3 days of silence from Lily felt like 3 years. I'd worn a path in my kitchen floor from pacing when Tom knocked on my door that rainy evening. She's at my house, he said without preamble. She needs you. I found Lily curled up on Tom's couch, a stack of papers clutched to her chest. Her eyes were red, but clearer than I'd seen them in months. He emptied our account, she said as I sat beside her. Every penny of my savings. And I found these in his car. She handed me the papers. Loan documents, bank statements, a half-dozen driver's licenses with Jake's photo but different names. And ultrasound photos, not hers, but dated years ago, with another woman's name. He's used the pregnancy story before, she whispered. I'm not. I was never. The front door opened. Jake stood there, rain dripping from his expensive suit. Tom moved to block his path, but Jake just smiled. Family meeting? He stepped inside. How convenient. I have the final loan papers right here. Just need those signatures, Maggie, and we can all move forward. There's nothing to move forward to. Lily stood up, shaking. I know about the other pregnancies. The other wives. The other scams. Something dangerous flickered across Jake's face. Baby, you're confused. Your mother's gotten in your head. Stop. Lily's voice cracked. Just stop lying. Everything I did was for us. He switched tactics, his tone softening. Yes, I made mistakes. But the money's real now. One signature and we're set for life. Using my mother's house as collateral? Lily laughed bitterly. Like you used Angela's? And Sarah's? And Michelle's. Jake's charm vanished. You ungrateful little. He lunged forward. I moved without thinking, putting myself between them. Touch her and it's assault charges on top of the fraud. Fraud. His laugh was ugly. Your signature's already on those papers, remember? Good luck proving otherwise. Actually, Tom spoke up, holding up his phone. I think this conversation will help with that. Jake's eyes widened as he realized he was being recorded. He backed toward the door, calculations running behind his eyes. You really want to do this? He snarled. Fine. But remember, I've got nothing left to lose. You really think this ends here? No, I said quietly. It ends at the police station. Angela, Sarah, and Michelle are there right now, filing charges. All they needed was one more victim to establish a pattern. And proof of intent, Lily added, her voice stronger now. Like this conversation. Jake's hand twitched toward his pocket, his car keys. But Tom was faster, blocking the door. Move, Jake growled. Make me. The punch was swift, but Tom was ready. They grappled, crashing into the coffee table. I grabbed Lily, pulling her back as Jake broke free and bolted for the door. He made it 3 steps into the rain before police lights flooded the street. Perfect timing, Carla, I whispered, watching my friend step out of her car, where she'd been waiting with her phone ready to make the call. Jake tried to run, but slipped on the wet grass. As the officers approached, he looked back at us, at Lily specifically, one last time. I did love you, he said. In my way. Lily stepped forward, out of my protective grip. No. You loved what you thought you could take from me. There's a difference. We watched them put him in the police car. Lily leaned against me, her body shaking with sobs or laughter. Maybe both. Mom, she whispered. I'm sorry. For not trusting you. For not seeing. Sure. I held her closer. You saw it when it mattered. Tom came up beside us, sporting what would become an impressive black eye. Let's get you both inside. I think this calls for something stronger than coffee. As we turned to go in, I caught a glimpse of our reflection in Tom's window, mother and daughter, battered but unbroken. Jake had tried to tear us apart, but in the end, he'd only proved what I'd known all along. Our bond was stronger than any con man's game. The rain washed away Jake's tire tracks as the police car disappeared around the corner, taking with it all his false promises and paper dreams. 6 months after Jake's arrest, I found myself back at the same coffee shop where everything had fallen apart. This time, I sat across from Angela, Sarah, and Michelle, watching them pass around photos of Jake's sentencing. 10 years. Angela said, sliding the envelope across the table. Plus restitution to all of us. Small comfort, Michelle added, stirring her coffee. But better than nothing. The bell chimed, and Lily walked in. She looked different now, stronger, more herself. The shadows under her eyes had faded, replaced by a quiet determination I recognized from my own mirror. Sorry I'm late, she said, pulling up a chair. The support group ran long. She'd been attending meetings with other fraud victims, turning her pain into purpose. Sometimes she came home angry, sometimes in tears, but always moving forward. How's the house hunting going? Sarah asked. Found a small apartment, Lily smiled. Mom's helping with the deposit. Speaking of help, Angela pulled out some papers. The settlement money came through. We thought, maybe, we could do something good with it. The proposal laid out a foundation, a network to help other victims of romance fraud. Legal support, counseling, emergency funds. All the things we'd wished we'd had. We need someone to run it, Michelle said, looking at Lily. Someone who understands both sides of the story. Lily's hands trembled slightly as she read the details. I don't know if I'm qualified. You are, I said quietly. Because you found the strength to walk away. The coffee shop door opened again. Tom walked in, his black eye long-heeled. He'd been coming around more often lately, bringing dinner or fixing things around the house. Neither of us had put a name to it yet, but something was growing there, slow and careful. Ladies, he nodded to the group. Mind if I steal Maggie for a minute? Outside, the spring air carried the scent of new beginnings. Tom handed me an envelope. It came today, he said. Thought you'd want to see it. Inside was a letter from Jake, postmarked from prison. My hands shook as I read. Maggie, I've had time to think. About patterns, choices, the lies we tell ourselves. I'm not asking for forgiveness, I don't deserve it. But I want you to know you were right. About everything. Especially about Lily. Take care of her. She's lucky to have a mother who sees clearly what love really means. James. You okay? Tom asked. I looked through the window at Lily, animated now as she discussed plans for the foundation. At Angela, Sarah, and Michelle, who'd turned their pain into purpose. At my own reflection, no longer haunted by fear. You know what's strange? I folded the letter carefully. I thought catching him would feel like victory. But this, watching Lily heal, seeing these women support each other, this feels more like justice. Tom's hand found mine. Sometimes the best revenge is living well. Mom. Lily appeared in the doorway. We need your input on something. Inside, the women had spread out budget proposals and outreach plans. They were building something new from the ashes of their shared trauma. We're thinking of calling it Clear Sight, Lily explained. Because that's what saved us all in the end. Being able to see through the lies. See what really matters. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. The naive girl who'd shown up married on my doorstep was gone. In her place stood a woman who'd faced her mistakes and chosen to grow from them. What do you think? She asked. I squeezed her hand. It's exactly what we need. As we worked into the evening, planning and dreaming, I realized something. Jake had tried to destroy us. But he'd accidentally created something stronger. A network of women who refused to be victims, a daughter who'd found her purpose, and a mother who'd learned that protection sometimes means letting go. The coffee shop lights dimmed, signaling closing time. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new stories, new women needing help. But for now, in this moment, we were exactly where we needed to be. Clear-sighted, at last.